Somewhere in a workshop right now, there is a battery that has been working since before your grandparents were born. It was built in the 1930s. It still holds a charge. It still powers a load. Nobody replaced it. Nobody recycled it. It just kept working, decade after decade, while the world around it threw away 3 generations of batteries. Now look at the battery bank in your garage, the one you bought for the next blackout, the one you trust to keep your freezer cold and your radio alive when the grid goes dark. That one is dying right now, not when it fails. Right now, every cycle is a step toward the day it stops holding a charge and you find out at the worst possible moment. There is a battery chemistry that does not do that. It powered off grid homes for 80 years without the grid. And the industry that sells you a new battery every 10 years made sure you never heard its name. Welcome to the Survival Research. If you have not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we dig up the engineering the industry buried and the science that proves it still works. Let me tell you what this battery is, because the name has been almost erased. It is called the nickel-iron cell. Some people call it the Edison battery, because Thomas Edison patented his version in 1901. It does not use lead. It does not use lithium. It uses nickel plates, iron plates, and a bath of potassium hydroxide, an alkaline electrolyte. And here's the part that breaks every assumption you have about batteries. The electrolyte does not get consumed in the reaction. It just carries ions back and forth. The metal plates do not corrode and crumble the way lead plates do. Stop for a moment, because what I'm about to show you is bigger than one battery. I pulled together everything the storage industry leaves out of the brochure. All of it in the survival research documentation. The full nickel-iron build science, the exact electrolyte chemistry, and why potassium hydroxide outlives every acid. The reconditioning method that brings a dead Edison cell back from total discharge. The same process engineers used on cells older than most countries' power grids. The honest math on weight, efficiency, and cost, so you size a bank that actually works instead of one that disappoints. And the 3 suppression mechanisms that push this chemistry off the shelf with the receipts. 1 access. All of it. Permanently. The link is in the description. But stay with me. The science only gets stranger from here. That cell from the 1930s I mentioned. It can be dug out of a shed, flushed with fresh electrolyte, and brought back to useful capacity. Battery engineers have done exactly this. One documented set of 80-year-old cells lost only about 1% of capacity per year. 1%? A lithium pack loses more than that in its first month of hard cycling. If you have made it this far, you already understand storage better than 99% of the people buying battery banks right now. Subscribe and share this with someone who's about to spend thousands on a battery that will not survive the decade. Everything the industry buried sits in the full documentation. Link in the description. Now stay with me, because the next part is where the cover-up gets obvious. Now let me explain why this battery refuses to die, because the chemistry is the whole story. In a lead-acid battery, every charge and discharge physically rebuilds the lead plates. They shed material, they sulfate, they warp. Each cycle ages them, and after a few hundred deep cycles, the plates are simply worn out. The nickel-iron cell does not rebuild its plates. The iron and the nickel shift between hydroxide states and back. It is a phase change, not a demolition. The structure stays intact. That is the entire secret to lasting 80 years. It survives things that destroy other batteries, overcharge it, and it just bubbles off hydrogen and oxygen. No fire, no thermal runaway. Lithium cannot say that. A lithium pack pushed too hard can vent flame. Think about what that means for a system living in your basement or your garage. The single biggest fear with a home battery bank is fire. People have lost houses to lithium packs that went into runaway. The nickel-iron cell removes that fear at the chemistry level. There is no flammable solvent inside it to begin with. The worst a healthy cell does when you abuse it is make a little gas and ask for more water. Discharge a nickel-iron cell all the way to 0 and leave it there. It does not care. Freeze it. It does not care. Vibrate it, drop it, abuse it. The tough steel tubes holding the active material shrug it off. That is why these cells ran in mine cars, rail signals, and submarines for decades. Now connect this to the bigger picture, because one immortal battery is interesting. A whole system is survival. A nickel-iron bank is the heart of an off-grid setup that you build once and hand to your children. Pair it with solar. The panels last 25 years or more. The cells last 50 to 100. There is no consumable core to keep buying. Think about the timeline that creates. A family installs a system today. The person who installed it grows old. The panels get swapped once. The inverter gets swapped maybe twice. And underneath all of it, the same bank of cells keeps cycling. The same iron and nickel plates shifting back and forth, outlasting every other component in the house. That is not a product. That is infrastructure. When the electrolyte finally weakens after years of service, you do not throw the battery away. You pour out the old potassium hydroxide and mix in fresh. The plates keep working. Try doing that with a sealed lithium pack. You cannot. When it dies, it is electronic waste. And there is no fragile management board waiting to fail, no firmware, no proprietary electronics to fry in a surge. The chemistry regulates itself. That is, resilience you can actually repair in the field with basic supplies. Now, let me be honest with you, because anyone who only sells you the upside is selling you something. This battery is not magic, and it is not for every job. It is heavy. The energy you get per kilogram is low, far below lithium. A nickel-iron bank for a house is large, and it is not light. Its round-trip efficiency is lower too, somewhere around 65 to 80%. So you lose more of your solar input than you would with lithium. And it self-discharges faster, sitting idle, losing a noticeable chunk of charge each month if you leave it alone. The upfront price is high. Cell for cell, it can cost several times what lead acid costs on day one. This is the real reason it lost the market, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. But here's the trick the industry plays with that number. They show you day one. They never show you year 30. Over 30 years, you might buy 3 or 4 lithium banks or 6 lead acid banks. You buy the nickel iron bank once, run the full cost over the real lifespan, and the immortal battery is often the cheapest power you will ever store. So why did it vanish? Here is the honest answer, and it is not a movie villain. There's no conspiracy law against nickel iron. It is completely legal to buy and own. The patent expired a century ago. Anyone can build it. That is exactly the problem for the people who sell batteries. A battery you buy once, that lasts longer than you will, that you repair yourself with cheap chemicals, is a business model nobody wants to be in. There is no recurring sale, no replacement cycle, no locked-in customer. So the market did what markets do. It chased the cheap, light, high-margin chemistry and let the immortal one fade into a footnote. The industry did not ban this battery. It did something quieter and more effective. It stopped mentioning it existed and let you assume that dying every 10 years is just what batteries do. That assumption is the product they are really selling you. And now you know it is not true. One more thing before you go, because it matters. I pinned a comment at the top with the 3 analyses I could not fit into this video. The reconditioning steps for a dead cell, the real 30-year cost breakdown against lithium, and the exact electrolyte mix. Read it. Those 3 alone are worth more than most paid courses on off-grid storage. So here is the choice, and it is simpler than they want it to be. You can keep buying the battery that is engineered to die, replacing it every decade for the rest of your life, paying again and again for the same stored power. Or you can build the one that outlives you, repair it with a bag of powder and some water, and hand it down still working. The immortal battery was never legal. It was just never profitable enough for anyone to remind you it exists. And if this changed how you think about the battery in your garage, subscribe. The next piece of buried engineering we dig up is one the grid operators really do not want spreading. Now you have it. The science was always there. They just made sure you would never look. The grid will fail again. The next storm, the next overload, the next quiet morning when the power simply does not come back. When that day comes, the only question that matters is whether your power is built to die with the grid or built to outlast it. You already know which battery does which. The rest is up to you.